Hey, good afternoon, guys. I'm Brent, and we're here at Address here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are the largest, if not the largest, Porsche 944 repair shop, and I do a weekly live stream. And I just have people on and have them ask questions down in the chat. So everybody's having a great week. Last weekend we had our annual Hella Meet, and I had some stuff set up for that, but been having a live stream on my phone past couple of weeks because my brand new laptop likes to lose internet connection during live streams. So still haven't figured that out, but I'll try and make a video for you guys and have it up soon. This year I didn't take a lot of videos of the meet. I was not driving my car, so I didn't put on. I'm trying to straighten you guys up here. But I usually have a dash camera on me, but I wasn't driving that car this year. And I just wanted to kind of hang out, relax, and enjoy the event for once. So didn't shoot a lot of video, but did get a lot of pictures. What I did was I opened up a new group on Facebook, so that way everybody could share their pictures, because in years past I just had a page and I would post up my stuff, but now you can go over and you can check out some photos of everybody else too. But I want to welcome you all in here, and today we'll talk a little bit about the Hell Meet and just whatever comes up. Usually do this for about an hour. It seems to be about 45 minutes in. Right before I'm about to end the live stream, then a lot of people jump in and have a lot of questions. But first of all, good afternoon, and see a few people coming in. But yeah, we've just been back at work here, trying to finish up a few things. Got a few cars coming and going as always. If you guys follow my Patreon, you would know that we got a few cars in, we got a few cars out. We pretty much do everything on these cars from the ground up. So a lot of times we're just doing the timing belt and fixing oil leaks. Other times we're taking everything completely apart and starting over, repainting them. So we actually have a car paint to them at paint right now. One of them's going to come back for reassembly, and soon after this car will go. But came in a disaster. It's going to leave beautiful. We like to break everything up. We usually do the engines and make sure everything's done on that. Then we'll go to the interior and do whatever they want done there. Sometimes they need new seats, carpet, headliner, new panels, new dashboard, and we'll even install a backup camera if that's what they want. New radio, everything. And in this case, we've got to do seats, but we're not going to do that until we get the car running again. But yeah, afterwards, after we do the engine, interior, suspension, etc., we'll assemble the paint. So what is everybody working on this beautiful Sunday? I have to pick this up. I've got a car right there, so I have to kind of move everything around. So I got you guys on the tripod. And it won't fit everywhere. So usually I don't have a car in here, but it's too nice to leave out. I was off yesterday. Alright, I'm just trying to set up here and see if I can get you guys the best view of the shop. I've also got an engine sitting right here. We are packed in here. There's a lot going on. I'm building about 5 engines, and we've got about 10 cars in the shop. and I need room for about 10 more cars. So that is the next, that's the next step here, get a bigger shop. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday, and happy Father's Day to all you guys out there. But just at work chilling today, trying to get some stuff caught up on. I was out of town last weekend with the Hell and Meat, but we had a great time. We had about 30 cars there, so, and I'm always shocked to hear people haven't heard about it. So yeah, if you got a 944, be sure to join us next year. I don't promote it on any of the forums or anything. I just mention it here on my YouTube and on my Facebook platform, but I never see it posted anywhere else. So guys, if you enjoyed the Hell and Meat, then be sure to tell everybody, and let's get the word out. It gets a little bit bigger every year, and it's a really nice time. Usually I've got some people in here just, you know, hanging out, asking questions. We just kind of see where it goes. Like I said, about 30 minutes in, that's when it really starts to get interesting, and then it's time for me to leave. But I try and keep it going for the guys that watch this after the live stream's over. This week's particularly annoying with the tripod because there's a bunch of stuff in the floor. You can see I've got a car in here I don't usually have, and I've got an engine that was just dropped off about an hour ago, sitting here, and I haven't moved it because I gotta put it in my van tomorrow morning. But anyway, this 1986 944 turbo came in. I might move you back over here. Let's sit you back here. So this one came in. It's been a while now. I've discussed it a little bit before on these live streams. Let me open the hood for you guys. See if the hood wants to stay up. It does not. Of course it doesn't. Sometimes that hood will stay up, sometimes it won't. But I've got something to hold it up. So a lot of times the guys will watch these back afterwards since they can't tune in live, and I just try and keep it going so we're not just sitting here bored. But got these little locks that go on the struts to hold the hood up. Which reminds me, I need to change these struts. But okay, now we got the hood up. We will talk a little bit about this car. I've discussed it before on the stream, but little things keep popping up on it. So this car came in with a no start condition. It suffered a fire, and the owner went through and changed a bunch of stuff on it, swapped out all the burned up harnesses and stuff. And then it didn't want to start, so we got it in here and had a brand new harness on it for the engine, but we didn't have any spark. So I pinned everything out, the sensors, the wiring, the coil wiring, everything, and I said, well, I can't find anything. Stuck another harness on here, and then he had a brand new Focus 9 computer, plugged it into the new harness, still didn't have any spark. And said, well, it's probably not the harness. I can't find anything wrong with the harness. Everything was perfect. There was nothing shorting out. that we could see anyway. But so yeah, I decided to dig into the fuse box and check everything there. Everything looked good, but there had to be some reason for the fire. So anyway, dug around on this car and we finally get it back together. And just for the heck of it, I decided to try the other harness again, but this time with a different computer, and obviously it worked. So we ended up having to send out that harness back to the manufacturer and the computer, because the harness had fried the computer. Now I don't know how or why, but it was nothing shorting out in the harness that we could find, but you never know, something could have just broken inside and got turned the wrong way during installation and fried it. So anyway, we send it off. They fix both of these things. We get it back. The car starts and runs, but it always kind of shut off. And I thought that that could be something in the fuse box causing that, because it seemed like it was cutting power to the fuel pump. So I go back through and I find a bunch of stuff in the fuse box. Nothing that would cause a fire, but you could just see where people would clip stuff in, and there were broken plugs where everything connects. So replace that. I depinned everything that I could and put on new plugs in there, and still wants to do it. So I'm out for a test drive in it. The first time I really got to drive it, I drove it around a little bit, but one of the first big test drives that I did in it, every time you came to a red light, once it warmed up, it would just shut off. So now we're digging in and we're trying to see. There's nothing electrical going on with it. It just seems like, I think the fuel strainer from where it's set for a very long time is clogged. But there we go. That's what we're up to with it now. We've got it running, but it likes to shut off at red lights. So we're just gonna have to figure out what's causing that. I think it's a fuel strainer issue or something, because the fuel pressure drops, which I had assumed was the fuel pump cutting out, but nothing's telling us that it is. It just seems like randomly, and seems to be something to do with the fuel strainer itself. So we're gonna dump the tank, change that out, and go from there. Shane says, what has been your experience with PDR for hail dents on a 944? I have a couple that I think. So I've known a few guys to get PDR, but I think they were successful. I haven't seen it afterwards. I don't send a lot of stuff to PDR, because most of the time, by the time we get it, the car's got to be repainted anyway. So we just go ahead and we'll take dents out, but it's not really important how the paint looks afterwards. So we'll sand it down if it does crack through. But I've done PDR on cars before, and 944s. A good one shouldn't be any problem. It still's a little bit thick on these cars, but I think any PDR guy won't have a problem with that. But I've never had one come out and do anything on these cars. Personally, I have a PDR guy's number just in case we ever need it, but unfortunately I've never needed one. Usually, like I said, by the time we have any dings and dents in these cars, they're wanting it repainted anyway, so it's not really important how we get the dings and dents out. I got body hammers and stuff that'll just knock them out and make them flat. And if it cracks, then we need to sand that off anyway, because it wasn't stuck very well to begin with. A lot of these cars have had terrible resprays, and so, and we even get some unique colors in here from the factory that are sometimes a nightmare to work with. So we were doing a pearl white car not long ago, and the best way to describe sanding that car was almost like mud. Almost like clay mud. You'd get the sandpaper wet and you'd go to sand it, and it would just clog up like it was just clay in there. And it could have used some PDR, but anything that we have, we just use the body hammer and knock it out since we're going to respray it anyway. We use the big guns, but I would think that any good PDR guy should be able to help you out. I don't see hail damage a whole lot. There's a guy that works here, and he's got some dings in his car from hail damage, but it's to the point where he's got to repaint his car, so I don't know that he's going to bother with PDR. Alright, so what's everybody working on? You can see that I've had my hands full with this thing for way too long, and I really was hoping they would go home, and it's actually back to the condition that it was before it stopped running, and the owner was going to come get it, but it's so annoying, I just couldn't let it leave like that. So we're going to get to the bottom of why this car doesn't run, and we're going to get it right for him before it leaves. Like I said, I think it's the fuel strainer. It at first seemed like the computer was doing it, and it was just choking out, and then I noticed the fuel pressure gauge would drop, and I had assumed that there was something wrong with the fuel pump, and then I had assumed something was wrong with the DME relay and the wiring to it, because after a while I noticed that if I jumped the fuel pump, it wouldn't do that, and so I'd assumed that there's got to be something going on with the wiring to that, but it turns out that I think the fuel pump is just freaking out when it doesn't get any fuel. Like, it shouldn't overheat, you know, just that quickly, but something is just so clogged somewhere in the fuel line. I think that that's actually what's causing it, because you can now jump it and it doesn't do it. So it is fuel system related, and my best bet is that the screen or the strainer in the fuel tank is just completely gone. That's worth giving it a shot. He said he did change the fuel filter and it was nasty, so we'll do that, and we'll change that, and we'll go from there. I can't find anything electrical wrong with this car other than that, but considering that it did have a fire, that's where I kind of started at, but doesn't appear to be that. So all right, we'll come back over this way. I really like this car, but it's hanging around a little bit too long for me. I'm ready for it to go home, so we can get some other stuff in and out. All right, so you can see we're still working on this red one here. It's going to paint next, so we've just been kind of doing some stuff here and there. We had the oil cooler on. We went through the alignment tool, and usually what we'll do is, before we even take the oil coolers off the old car, we'll take the OPRV out. For some reason, my guys didn't take the OPRV out, and I said, well, it won't be a big deal, we'll just take it out. Now, couldn't get it off, and I said, well, okay, we'll bolt it to the new engine, and we should be able to get it out, because it's super tight. Well, it looks like someone used an impact on it, so I've got it back off, and before we put the water pump on, we're going to go ahead and impact that out, get the oil cooler on, and then we can put the water pump back on. Having the water pump off in these cars gives you a lot more room to get in there and actually replace the oil cooler. You can have, we had the head off and the headers off, so it's been a great time to go ahead and put the oil cooler in, but you still have a lot of room as long as you have the water pump off. And I have heard people tell me that they put the oil coolers on and off with just removing the power steering and stuff and leaving the water pump on. But that is a lot of work. You got to be pretty desperate to do that, so we're not that desperate. We'll just leave the water pump off. But that's the next step for this car. You guys are pretty quiet today. I said I was hoping to do some hella neat stuff, but unfortunately, like I said, the laptop's not acting right, and when we finally get it up and running, I'll try and share that with you guys. I didn't even do a video for last year, but I'm going to be at 944 Fest, so hopefully you guys will come out. It's going to be up at VIR this year, and I may be live streaming. It depends on. I know in Helen I would do a live stream, but it's there's almost no reception there, and a lot of the things we do is 5-10 minutes at a time. So I'm pretty busy while I do stuff, but I would like to maybe live stream the awards for the 944 Fest and stuff, and maybe some of the track time. Doing all the editing and stuff later on can be pretty time consuming. But anyway, guys, that looks about like it for the week. If you guys don't have any more questions, Shane says, is the fest where everybody camps out? Well, there's 944 camp as well. Some people will camp at 944 Fest in the big field when it's held in Ohio. So that may have been what you saw. So yeah, we camp there, and but there's also 944 camp. But I feel like, yeah, maybe at 944 camp, a lot more people end up actually in hotel rooms. So this year at VIR, I feel like a lot of people, since we're not having it in Ohio and that big field, I feel like a lot of people are probably just going to get hotel rooms. I camped when they held it there back in 2016, and I like camping, but I'm not camping this time. I always camp at 944 Fest when it's held in Ohio in the field, because the grass is way more forgiving than the woods with rocks. So, and it's been 10 years since I've been to VIR, but the last time I was there, their campsites were not the greatest. Yeah. I don't want to deter anybody from camping there, but I've done it. I got my feel of it. They may have, for all I know, they might have new campsites that are wonderful, but I'm going with my wife, so it's like, she's probably not going to want to sleep out there on rocks. So, and you ask, where's the info for 944 camp? So check that out. It's just go to, I believe it's 944camp.com. It's held over there towards the tail end of Dragon in North Carolina, near Topico and Fontana Dam, all that stuff. And I think that it's great to go camping. I haven't ever attended that one. I know of it. It's held by the same guy that does 944 Fest, but I've never been to that event. And from what I can tell is that it's a great event. I got distracted with a comment, but but I think that the weather that time of year is kind of cool. It's kind of wet, so at 944 camp, I hear a lot of guys, they just get a room somewhere. So I might be mistaken on that. There might be a ton of people out there camping, but so I would believe that in most cases that where most people camp is 944 Fest. Okay, George says 1987 924S removed the doors and windows to fix the latches. Can't seem to get the glass back in. Tips? Yeah, just you gotta have the regulator removed first, and then you just gotta tilt it nose first. Like this is the small part of the window, and this is the back part of the window. Just kind of tilt it nose down. put that side in the track, and then line that side up in the track, and you should be good to go. And then when you go to put the regulator in, you got to make sure that if it was all the way up when you took the regulator out, then you have to push the window all the way up and slide it back in the groove. So you'll want to, you've got 3 points. You'll want to start with the one on this side near the smaller part of the window if you're doing a driver's side or passenger side, it depends, whatever. But put that side in first, then you're going to slip this side in, and then you're going to want to put it in the door thing, and you just got to slide them kind of all in together like that. Put your bolts in, and if you notice that some of the bolts don't line up on the regulator, then what you can do is just put enough of them in there and then roll the window down just enough where that way you can get the rest of the bolts in there, and then it should work perfectly after that. I hope that helps. Been watching for a while to figure out random fixes on my dad's Porsche 924. Well, awesome. We should do a cross-country camping trip for, well, you know, I was actually talking about that in Helen. I was thinking, you know, when I did my cross-country trip in 2018, I was going to try and get a bunch of people together and do it then. That wasn't quite so successful, but I did run into a lot of guys in their 944s while I went cross-country and hung out with them. It was really nice. This time, I definitely, it's almost been 10 years now, I would definitely like to get together for a cross-country trip. All 944s, cross-country trip, we need to do it. Doesn't have to be camping involved, but I'm fine with camping sometimes. I really wanted to, it depends on the time of year too, so if we're gonna go in July, like I did last time, there's no way I am camping out in the desert again. NWFL Comanche says, what's up? Not much, man. How's it going? Happy Fox says, hi Brent, did you ever look inside the Ungo boxes from way back? No, it's still sitting on the shelf somewhere if I haven't thrown it away. Oh, it's still on the shelf. I haven't had really any interest to go through it yet. Says, any tips on assembling a 1987 924S auto tensioner? I took it all the way apart and forgot how to fix it. If you took it all the way apart with the spring, you're probably not going to get it back together. So there is a screw that runs all the way through it with a nut, and yeah, that is, you're not going to have a fun time. I'll be honest with you, take the 17mm nut out of that, get you a stud from an early car and run the early tensioner. I do not like the auto tensioners. That's just my thing with them. You have to reach in there and find those blind nuts to remove it just to get the belt on and off, and then they never tension the belt right. It's just a huge waste of time. You can just go put you a stud in there, put a bolt or a nut, remove the bolt, put the stud in there, put an early tensioner on there, be done with it. Every time you change your belt, you're now doing it in like 2 minutes instead of 15 minutes per nut trying to get in there and find exactly where it's at. Then you got to reach in there and you gotta loosen it, tighten it to find this bolt. I really don't like it. I put them on cars because they come with them. I don't take them off, but on my personal cars, I still have my auto tensioner, but my auto tensioner doesn't even work. So there's a nut in there, so as the nut goes on, and I don't even know how to get the nut back on once it comes out. Because there's no tool that will go in there. It's like a little 8mm nut. And so they got it on there, and it's set at the factory. If you ever remove that, your tension, you'll never get the tension back on it. The only way you can really put it back together is to just push everything back until it aligns, put your bolts in there and lock it down, but now your tension it'll never set the tension right, it'll be too tight. So the reason for that, so that nut that was in there with the spring, it would stop it at the correct tension. So it was calibrated from the factory. And once you take that nut out and you take this all apart, you've lost that calibration. And a lot of times that just falls out from driving whatever else over 40 years. And the spring tension's going to be too tight. And you start it up one day and you're just going to throw your water pump pulley down the highway and your car's going to overheat and you might lose your timing belt if you're very unfortunate. But yeah, so with the spring tensioner, you put it back together. Like I said, it won't have the tension set properly anymore. You'll have to use the gauge to make sure that it's not over tightened, and then, or you can just go to an early stop tensioner. It's the easiest way to do it. All right, go back. Happy Fox says, I got at least 2. I believe he's talking about the Ungo boxes. Do they have an internal relay? They're the worst or great. They possibly do. Like I said, I haven't taken it apart yet. Now mine are honking, messing with the charge exciter blue cable like it gets some intermittent trigger signal. This thing is, who the heck has diagrams? Oh, you probably forget that. You probably forget ever finding a diagram. There was something, I can't even find the diagrams for the early 944 alarms from the factory. If someone has them or I'm overlooking them, I'd love to have one. I have the late alarm system that's in the factory workshop manual, but there's nothing in the factory workshop manual like the early alarms. So I can't imagine that there's anything that exists for the Ungo alarms some 40 years on. Yeah, I mean, maybe. It says some top secret. Well, I mean, somebody might have, if they'd put schematics in there like they did the Blau Punk radios, then somebody could have figured out how to defeat them. So they may have wanted to keep that secret. On the other hand, you think in 40 years, if it was worth someone's time, they would have made a schematic for it. But no telling. Probably does have relays. I haven't even looked at the wiring on it, but I've considered using old stuff like that as a car alarm, and then I go, no, I think it's just better. I want a car alarm that I can just like stick up in my car. Now we're there to that point where it's like, I need a car alarm. I'm just gonna stick it on my dash, and then there we go, and it locks the doors, and the alarm goes off if someone touches it. I don't have to wire in a bunch of stuff. So I think about that, and I think about putting the older stuff in there, the older amps and stuff. I mean, they used to make high quality stuff, and then you think not only will it malfunction possibly, but it's very possible that there's just easier stuff today that is much easier to live with. You know, when I got my 924S, the last one that I purchased in 2016, it came with the original head unit, and it still worked, and I still have it. And I was like, I'm gonna leave this car original. I'm not even gonna take the original head unit out of it. And then I confessed a little. I was like, okay, I really want to like listen to Spotify or something, you know. So I got one, and then eventually I was like, okay, I need Bluetooth. I need this. I'm tired of taking phone calls, having to like, you know, have them go through this whole menagerie of stuff. So no, it's all Bluetooth now. I enjoy it. I can listen to podcasts. I can listen to CDs, whatever I want to. But, so every time I think that I'm gonna go and try and keep everything original, it just sort of doesn't make any sense at the end of the day. So that's one reason I haven't looked at this box yet. But you know, if people are interested in seeing a 40-year-old Ungo box internals, then maybe. It's still got all the wiring. You can see that this thing still has all the wiring, and it's color coded with dots. And we got a purple wire, we got a blue wire, another purple wire, red wire, orange wire, green wire. So now if I just knew what any of that meant. So he said his is all good until lately. Yeah, there it is. I haven't even taken it out of the glove box. And that's the other problem that I have with it, is that now I don't have a glove box. So, yeah, I'm just gonna... It's cool. Maybe when I have a 944 museum, we'll start saving up. I want to have like a Carrera GT and GTS 924 Carrera GTS and stuff in the museum, and we'll have a 944 engine on display and all that stuff. So hey, we'll throw an Ungo box in there. It'll be like, this is what alarms, aftermarket alarm systems look like in the early 1980s, and we'll just have a glove box there with the Ungo sitting in it. We have a few of the retro Continental units here. I hear a lot of people like them. I've installed a few of them. They're not my favorite. I don't know if everybody has this problem, but I've heard a few people say that, and we install them, and I've looked through the wiring, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've even had other like professional car stereo places say that every time they turn the car off, you have to manually turn that radio back on. If you're not having that issue, I'd love to know what you did, but it seems like you still have the 12 volt continuous to it, and it still remembers your radio stations, but every time you turn the switch off, you turn it back on, turn it back on. And that is a very mild annoyance, and that's enough for me to go, there's better things out there than that kind of radio. But sorry you missed the registration. Sometimes after the registration ends, you can try and get me in. So Adrian says, yes, I screwed with the wiring for hours, no dice. I personally don't mind it. Yeah, if you don't mind that, it's a perfectly good radio. To me, it was just enough of an annoying. Because here's what's going to happen. So I have a Blau Punk now, or is it Kenwood? Oh, I think I got rid of the Blau Punk. I got a JVC or Kenwood now. I don't know the difference between them. But if I leave the radio really loud and I get out and I turn the car off, I can have it set so when I get back in, it's always at a 4 or something. So, you know, I don't get back in the car and it's blasting music. It's always set, and I can adjust where I want it set when I restart the car. But when it's off, I'll drive for like 10 miles without realizing the radio's off. And I'm like, hey, where's the music? So I personally want, because like one of the things on my checklist isn't, you know, like I get in and then I turn the radio on. So you know, I guess you would get used to that if you lived with it, but that is, he says it's caught me off guard. Yeah, see, like I'm so used to the radios coming on and everything I drive that, you know, I don't think to turn the radio on, so I just drive down the road without the radio on, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, that to me, so I actually had a guy in here today, and he was looking at a few of these cars, and he goes, oh, this car's got the Continental radio in there. It's like, yeah, the only thing I don't like about it's that, and But if you've seen the they're like $500-600, the Blaupunk Bremen clones from the 80s. They look just like what came in the 911s. I don't believe that any 944 came with those. I think the top of the line was the Charleston. That was the two channel, and then the same exact looking radio as the Reno, but it was a 4 channel. I think that's what you got in the 944. And you might have been able to opt for the Bremen, but I don't know that I'd ever actually seen one in there. But anyway, you can buy those. They look just like the 80s radios. They came in the BMWs, the Ferraris, Porsches, the 911s, that is. And you can change the colors to whatever. That is a fan. Now, I don't know how durable they are. I've not had a lot of luck with like modern Blaupunks. Blaupunk used to be like the best radio back in the day. You know, they're up there with Alpines and stuff. Today, they're not known for being the most durable. But if that radio, you know, is as durable as it should be, then, you know, it's fantastic. I really, really like those. It looks like it has the cassette holder, but you flip it up and it has this SD card slots and everything in it, and the USB slots. It's a really cool radio, and you change the color to make it look like it was the original in the Porsches and stuff. So it's more expensive, but that is, like, to me, the truest of genuine old radios. And yes, Porsche does make the navigation one. It's the Porsche Classic radio, but I've installed a few of those. Not a fan of those. Not that they're terrible. It's just that you get a whole lot more. I think you don't get the screen, but who needs a screen? But for the look, I would go with the Blaupunk Bremen ones. That's just personal opinion. But nothing wrong with the Continental, but I just don't understand that as a feature. I'm just kind of puzzled by it. And then Happy Fox says, great luck today. I forgot something on the roof, drove 10 miles on the highway and found it on the spoiler. Oh, you got lucky. Going back up, he says the Ungo was a $1,000 option on the 911s in this epoch, California. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so like it was I think it was too. I think it was like the aftermarket alarm to have. I think I've seen 2 of them come through. One of them was beat up so bad. That one was worth keeping, but I don't even think it was connected to anything in that car anymore. But yeah, I the old stuff is still pretty cool, you know, but you could probably do better with something that just something cheap off Amazon today. I need to get a new alarm for the van. So the van has an alarm, but you have to like try and open the doors and stuff or shake it a lot to get it. Someone tried to steal my catalytic converter last week, and that was nice. Not here at the shop. You guys are safe. This was I'd gone to a not so great neighborhood, and someone tried. They didn't get it, but they tried. I got back in the van, and it was making a lot of noise, and I'm like, see, I just need something to go up underneath there and just be loud. Alright, it says, great stream. My window washer has stopped working on my 87 951. Are there any obvious things to check? Already checked a fuse. Yeah, so you come right over here, and this is like probably what it is. These little pumps here, it's right here on the washer tank. This is 86, but the 87's about the same. 88 they changed it, but this pump here, hopefully you can see. Let me come a little closer. These just seize up for no reason. They get old, and I'm trying to think of a way to just to describe it. They're basically held together by tension, and a little grain of sand goes through them, and everything comes undone on them. So I wouldn't be surprised. The original ones lasted. I don't think they lasted 40 years. You can see that that one's got another one on there, and you'll probably buy one that'll last another 5-6 years. And they're made way worse than they were. So if you buy one, I think you can get them for as low as like 12 bucks on Amazon in some places. But yeah, check that out. Just check that you're getting power there. You're gonna plug it and just put a multimeter on it and see if you're getting power. But more than likely, that's just clogged up or broken inside. Even if you don't use them, they'll just stop working. Steve says, hey, thanks for your door switch troubleshooting video during your long hair. Hey, no problem. That's bailed a lot of people out. Yeah, I don't like the long hair anymore. It was fine when I was younger. Now I'm old and hot, and I'm like, I don't like things in my face. But didn't mind when I was younger, but now it's like I got kids here that work for me and they'll put their hair up. Younger guys that are in their 20s, that are, I'm just gonna pull my hair back, and I'm like, man, just cut that off. And I'm like, I wouldn't have, you know, no one could have said that to me back then, but you know, now that I'm older, it's like you learn a lot. Like, it's too hot, too old, hot, don't like things in my face anymore. I slide mine apart and cleaned it and oiled it. It's still working. Oh, nice. Yeah, if you got an original washer pump, you might be able to rebuild it by just, if there's not any rust in it, get some evapor rust and soak it and oil it up. You might be able to rebuild it. I don't think you're going to be able to rebuild these Chinese ones that are made today. They're just, everything's plastic in them. But, hey, if it's original, it's worth a shot. But I mean, they're so they're so cheap. Says, hey there, I just want to thank you for all your videos. I've been a 911 guy for 35 years. I still have a 964 turbo, but brought an 87 944 for my 15 year, and we rebuilt the trans and the engine. Well, awesome. Yeah, it's they're very underrated cars. A lot of people, you know, back when I started working on them, they were the forgotten Porsche, and today it's like I get guys that are like, oh, I've got roofs and worth $4 million, but I've got 944s. Said gerbled it apart. Gerbled the washer pump apart. Yeah, if you got that kind of time, honestly, for as cheap as they are, but I would just buy 2 of them. If you really want to keep it running, just buy 2 of them. But mainly because you might get one and it doesn't even work when it comes in. So you'll have another one. That's the way I have to do a lot of those oil pressure senders these days. I can go on some of these sites and buy an oil pressure sender for like $75-$80 a piece, and they don't work. And so I was like, well, I'm glad I bought another one. Same thing's true with those washer pumps. You could probably buy 5 of them. One of them might work, and if it did work, it might work a week. So if you can rebuild it, but it might take you a little bit of time, but it might be better to try and rebuild it. No, he said started out with 1 and now you have 3 of them. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, there's not much to it. It's just the hard parts to rebuilding those things is getting the rust out. And years ago, we did not have the evapor rust. Oh, really? Yeah. I actually, you know, I don't go on run lists very much, but yeah, I think I actually half saw that. I don't know that I flipped through it, But that is awesome, though. I'm gonna have to go back and revisit that now. I mean, when I flipped through before, I was like, "Well, that's interesting," but I don't have a lot of time to sit down and read these threads. But now you piqued my interest. I'll have to definitely check that out. Yeah, I don't think anybody's spent that kind of money here on a 944 turbo yet, and I wouldn't blame them. But yeah, there's one looks a lot like this one here that it's pristine. I'm very tempted to buy it, but I don't have a place to put it. My garage is full at home. I've even got some of my own 944s just sitting out here waiting to get fixed, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to sell something because it's got to go in a garage, and I don't have a room in this garage anymore. But I would love to have it. I'm very tempted. I'm going to start with a car that's probably more in the $50,000 range that doesn't need anything before I have to put $200,000 into it. But I can imagine, yeah. So, I've driven a lot of these cars with strut tower braces, and I haven't been on the track with them. But I'd say I noticed a little bit of more rigidity with it, but I haven't driven one on the track with one. Yeah, it's been. That's awesome. Yeah, I we build some pretty crazy, outlandish stuff here, but for me, I'm not a purist, but like I'm more of I like to keep things as original as possible. So if I did buy that car, I might put a modern head unit in there, but it's gonna look like an older head unit. I'm not gonna put a bunch of stuff on. I want backup cameras and stuff, and I don't want anything that didn't come stock on it, kind of deal. Um, Mainly because I was that when I was younger. When I was younger, I bought a Porsche, and it was like, hey, we're gonna like mod this thing out, and the car was perfectly reliable, but over time, it's like I just kept doing more and more to it, and I didn't enjoy the car anymore. And so I was like, hey, I'm kind of now older. I'm like, I just want the car to be original. Just leave it alone, because you cut the door cards out, put some big speakers in there, and now like I just want it to look nice. The door speakers fall off. Like I remember one time I had a subwoofer, and like we'd put a subwoofer in there and it looked really cool, and then like over the years the like wood and the plywood just started rotting and falling apart, and I was like, yeah, and just kind of, so that's just my personal preference. But that sounds awesome. I've got to definitely check out your thread. I mean, I'm not a buzzkill on people doing whatever they want to do, because I definitely do it here. We definitely like turbocharge 968s and turbocharge anything that's not stock, and I definitely have turbocharged cars that didn't come that way. But yeah, I got to check that thread out. Maybe we'll all go through it one day. Maybe I'll bring in the laptop. I don't want you guys to have to look at a laptop though. But changing the car to full coilovers is pretty. Now, does it have still have the Trilonomic suspension on it, or did you, when you swapped it over, did you put something more like a control arm suspension in? Because that would be the first thing I did. Like, I don't know why Porsche didn't do it. I know it's probably cheaper to just use that. No bars? Okay, awesome. Yeah, the first thing I would do if I was gonna do it would put a control arm, maybe double wishbone in the back. I know that'd take a complete re-engineering of even the body back there, but if we could get double wishbones, a little bit more weight, but way more sophisticated and better than the trailing arm suspension. I'd love to see what these cars could do with 50-50 weight distribution and twin control arms or double wishbone suspension. Happy Fox says he rebuilt his windshield washer pump because he firmly believed it outlasts the new replacement. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it will. Well, that's awesome, guys. I'm definitely going to check out H. Lopez's thread on the 944 Turbo forum over there on Renlist. And you should go check it out too. It's been about an hour. I appreciate all your questions. I told you it starts off slow around here and then it speeds up and we get to having a little bit of fun and it's time to go. But I appreciate all you guys coming out. And we're going to do it again next week. So hope to see you then. And hope you guys have a great week and a great Father's Day to all you out there. And we'll see you soon. Have a good one.